Oracle. What should they call her? What should they call her? Oracle. Hey, my loves, what's going on? I know y'all see it. I actually, April, what's good? I actually was waiting to see what he was going to say about it. But I feel like they probably trying to, you know, get the dialogue together because it could be messy, right? Let me just let the group know that we in here, and I'll lower this for now. What's good, Mel? I don't know if like you guys hear an echo. Let me know. Jennifer Boyd, what's good, hun? Um, I feel like maybe I should get it going on TikTok too. What's good, Miss Lotus Wisdom? It sounds good. Okay, I'm just gonna leave that in the background so that if he comes on, we can hear what he got to say. Um, a couple things that I wanted to say. So for my core group, and y'all that have been with me for a minute, we had this board going. What's good, Project Execute? We have this board going. These were things that Spirit was talking about at the beginning of the year. And if you look, there goes Venezuela. Okay? Under the category of overthrown. And they were, I believe, earlier in the year too. So, you know, there's a lot of thoughts that come to mind. And I think that the discussion has to be held in a particular fashion, as we always do. To my moderators, do not hesitate today. Do not hesitate. Okay? Because the bots are going to be out. I actually was in a different chat on TikTok, and some of the things that was going on in that chat. So I'm just prepping y'all. Okay. And maybe I need to release it. But yesterday we had our first breaking news of the year. Patreon did. And I was talking about the first half of the year. And I was also talking about the early parts of January and how, you know, certain transits are going to be coming into play. I feel like from now to the 9th, today's the full moon, Cancer moon, which would have an emotional connotation to it. I feel like we can see, you know, repercussions maybe taking shape around the 9th of this month. there are certain places that are more that are softer. I'm trying to, okay? There are certain places that are softer and easier to touch. And so the question is around this full moon, if we're just astrologically speaking for a second, right? The question is, with this full moon, will people react emotionally in many different ways? Okay. So there was already some response from that particular government who basically woke up this morning, and whatever you might think of that leader is really not the point here. Because sometimes we get lost and we don't see the forest for the trees. You know what I'm saying? Whether or not we're in agreement with this person's activities is really not the point. The point is intervention without expressed authority. And Congress has abdicated their responsibility. And there's many things that, we could list all the things. It's not even about that. But then to add to the situation, you also picked up this man's wife. And I had a thought, and I need y'all to really tap in. Back with 9/11, certain individuals that were considered to be and son and who were considered maybe to be in connection with that situation, if y'all are following me for a second, they were not held here, correct? Can somebody please type where the people that they thought was in connection, where they were held? It's very important. Because if you pay attention to where they said this would be tried, it would be the same district who also has, y'all need to pay attention, who also has an entity in that city that is international. Meaning that that city has already been given international jurisdiction. And if you think about it, in many ways, right? Right? And so as soon as I heard that this person's case was going to be tried in that southern district, what is the real likelihood that we would really know the whereabouts of that situation? Is everybody following me? Was that clear? Let me know. If not, I will try to rephrase. Mm-hmm. Right? Sleight of hands will be at play. Correct. And that is the same district that oversaw cases for the 9/11. And not near one of them was held stateside. Pay attention. Okay? Now, and maybe I need to make a few lives that were already done from my Patreon available to the public. The only thing is, if I make them available to the public, I'm not sure if they're going to show the date that I made them public or the date that they were recorded. Because 2 months ago, and it's funny because it came up yesterday in the live, 2 months ago, I did a recording about particular transits that are happening now and about how Uranus final retrograde into Taurus historically has an event that causes widespread consequences and, dare I say, even military situations, many different forms. And that by the time Uranus completes its last retrograde and goes back into Gemini, historically, we are in some sense of wartime. Well, Uranus's retrograde is going to end in mid-February. And it will enter Gemini. It will enter Gemini on April 26th. And I want you to see that the first time we had the first real big news story of the year is this. Also, pay attention to the day before this event. There was some posts made by the same individual to their media site.
Appreciate you being here. Late last night, and early today, at my direction, the United States Armed Forces conducted an extraordinary military operation in the capital of Venezuela. Overwhelming American military power, air, land, and sea, was used to launch a spectacular assault. And it was an assault like people have not seen since World War II. It was a force against a heavily fortified military fortress in the heart of Caracas to bring outlaw dictator Nicolas Maduro to justice. This was one of the most stunning, effective, and powerful displays of American military might and competence in American history. And if you think about it, there's some other good ones like the attack on Soleimani, the attack on al-Baghdadi, and the obliteration and decimation of the Iran nuclear sites just recently in an operation known as Midnight Hammer.
If they're still waiting for him over there, that can be because they
no nation
want to
in the world could achieve what America achieved yesterday, or
be able to
frankly,
mute some things
just a short period of time.
or cut away from.
All Venezuelan military capacities were rendered powerless as the men and women of our military, working with U.S. law enforcement, successfully captured Maduro in the dead of night. It was dark. The lights of Caracas were largely turned off due to a certain expertise that we have. It was dark and it was deadly. But captured along with his wife, Celia Flores, both of whom now face American justice. Maduro and Flores have been indicted in the Southern District of New York, Jay Clayton, for their campaign of deadly narco-terrorism against the United States and its citizens. I want to thank the men and women of our military who achieved such an extraordinary success overnight with breathtaking speed, power, precision, and competence. You rarely see anything like it. You've seen some raids in this country that didn't go so well. They were an embarrassment. If you look back to Afghanistan, or if you look back to the Jimmy Carter days, they were different days. We're a respected country
See
again,
the meandering?
like never before. These highly trained warriors operating in collaboration with U.S. law enforcement caught them in a very ready position. They were waiting for us. They knew we had many ships out in the sea, just sort of waiting. They knew we were coming. So they were in a ready, what's called a ready position. But they were completely overwhelmed and very quickly incapacitated. You would have seen what I saw last night. You would have been very impressed. I'm not sure that you'll ever get to see it, but it was an incredible thing to see. Not a single American service member was killed, and not a single piece of American equipment was lost. We had many helicopters, many planes, many people involved in that fight. But think of that, not one piece of military equipment was lost, not one service member was, more importantly, killed. The United States military
Thank
is the
goodness for that.
strongest and most fearsome military on the
The
planet
point
by
is
far.
that Congress is supposed to
Capabilities and
approve
skills our enemies can
any combat
scarcely
situations that
begin
we
to
have
imagine.
with
We have the
other
best
foreign
equipment anywhere in
nations.
the world. There's no equipment like what we have. And you see that even if you just look at the boats. You know, we've knocked out 97% of the drugs coming in by sea. 90%. Each boat kills 25, on average, 25,000 people. We knocked out 97%. And those drugs mostly come from a place called Venezuela. We're going to run the country until such time as we can do a safe, proper, and judicious transition. So we don't want to be involved with having somebody else get in, and we have the same situation that we had for the last long period of years. So we are going to run the country until such time as we can do a safe, proper, and judicious transition. And it has to be judicious, because that's what we're all about. We want peace, liberty, and justice for the great people of Venezuela. And that includes many from Venezuela that are now living in the United States and want to go back to their country. It's their homeland. We can't take a chance that somebody else takes over Venezuela.
So the Peace Prize winner, and I don't know enough about her, okay? But that Machado chick that was supposedly won the election, yeah, they're not going to install her.
We're there now.
What?
They don't understand, but they understand as I say this. We're there now, but we're
And the bigger problem here
going to stay until such time as the proper
is that when we don't follow our own
We're going to
laws,
stay until such time as we're going to run it essentially until such time as a proper transition can take place.
We encourage that behavior
Everyone knows
elsewhere,
business in Venezuela
even towards
has
us.
been a bust, a total bust for a long period of time.
Karina Machado.
They were pumping almost nothing by comparison to what they could have been pumping and what could have taken place. We're going to have our very large United States oil companies, the biggest anywhere in the world, go in, spend billions of dollars, fix the badly broken infrastructure, the oil infrastructure, and start making money for the country. And we are ready to stage a second.
I'm flabbergasted. My dad's a flabber. Okay?
We need to do so. So we were prepared to do a second wave if we needed to do so. We actually assumed that a second wave would be necessary, but now it's probably not. The first wave, if you'd like to call it that, the first attack was so successful, we probably don't have to do a second, but we're prepared to do a second wave, a much bigger wave, actually. This was pinpoint, but we have a much bigger wave that probably won't have to do. This partnership of Venezuela with the United States of America, a country that everybody wants to be involved with because of what we were able to do and accomplish, will make the people of Venezuela rich, independent, and safe. And it will also make the many, many people from Venezuela that are living in the United States extremely happy. They suffered. They suffered. So much was taken
And listen,
from them. They're not going to suffer.
you know, whether we see him as a positive person or not is really not the issue
criminal
here.
network responsible for trafficking.
Okay? Really not the issue. I just want
Deadly
y'all to think about it in another way. How would we react
He personally oversaw the vicious cartel known
if
as
somebody came in
Cartel de las
and took,
Solas.
well, maybe not this one,
Exploited
but
our
took the
nation,
president and the
lethal
first
poison,
lady?
responsible
What?
for the deaths of countless Americans, the many, many Americans, hundreds of thousands over the years of Americans died because of
I also want you to think of
Maduro
what would
and
have
his wife
happened if
will
Obama
soon
would have did
face
this.
the full might of American justice and stand trial on American soil. Right now, they're on a ship. They'll be heading to ultimately New York, and then a decision will be made, I assume, between New York and Miami or Florida. But we have people where the overwhelming evidence of their crimes will be presented in a court of law. And
Yeah, the loopholes have to close.
see
Not
it-
only
I've
is
seen
he
what we
doing
have.
these
It's,
things, he has set a dangerous precedent for future
both
presidents
horrible and
because there are no
breathtaking that
real
something like this
punishments
could have
in place
been
for
allowed to
presidents
take
that go
place.
rogue. These
many years
loopholes have
after
to be
his
closed. Yeah.
term as president of Venezuela expired, Maduro remained in power and waged a ceaseless campaign of violence, terror, and subversion against the United States of America, threatening not only our people, but the stability of the entire region. You all saw it. In addition to trafficking gigantic amounts of
I think
illegal
another
drugs
problem that we have
that inflicted untold
is that the
suffering and
internet
human destruction all over the country, all over, in particular, the United States.
is everywhere and people
Maduro
can
sent
see what's
savage and
happening now.
murderous gangs, including the bloodthirsty
Rhetoric
prison
doesn't
gang,
go over.
Tren
It
de
still
Aragua,
works, but not
to terrorize
like it used
American
to.
communities nationwide, and he did indeed. They were in Colorado. They took over apartment complexes. They cut the fingers off people if they called police. They were brutal. But they're not so brutal now. And I just have to congratulate our military, Pete, and everybody, and our National Guard, because the job that they've done, whether it's in Washington, D.C., where we have a totally safe city, where it was one of the most unsafe cities anywhere in the world, frankly, and now we have no crime in Washington, D.C. We haven't had a killing. We had the terrorist attack a few weeks ago. A little bit of a different kind of a threat, but we haven't had a killing in a long period of time, 6-7 months. We used to have two, on average, 2 a week in Washington, our capital. We don't have that anymore. The restaurants are opening. Everyone's happy. They're walking their daughters. They're walking their children, their wives. They walk to restaurants are opening all over Washington, D.C. So I want to thank the National Guard. I want to thank our military, and I want to thank law enforcement. It's been amazing. And they should do it with more cities. We're doing it, as you know, and we're doing it in
Have we had
Memphis,
enough?
Tennessee
Because I think
right
we
now,
got
and
the
crime is
point.
down. Just sort of started a few weeks ago, but crime is down now 77%. And
Because
the
now it
governor of
sounds like
Louisiana called, great person. And
maybe
he wanted
taking
us to help
laps.
him, as you know, in a certain very nice part of Louisiana. And we have done that. It was a rough section.
So
and
I
we
feel
have
like, yeah, I'm
crime
gonna
down.
mute him for now. The fact that listen, this is going to drag us into a situation. I really feel that, because as I started to say right before he came on, one of Venezuela's allies is Iran. And I think the day before this happened to Venezuela, he was making threats to Iran. And a couple months ago, you know, he did some things out that way. Okay. And for those of you who know, you know, who I call Big Red, they have basically made reference to how this wouldn't be tolerated, but secretly, I think they will like this because it will give them the feeling that what they're doing in another place is okay. Okay. And this sends a really bad example, regardless of whether you think the action should have been taken or not, or why it shouldn't, right? When, and I'm not saying that's correct, but when a nation makes moves on another nation, they're supposed to do it within international channels. And that did not take place here. And exacerbating current tensions. And I just explained to you guys that the last Uranus retrograde that occurs in Taurus historically creates an event that brings conflict and revolution. Let me say, for those of you that have children that are approaching military age or may have military age, make sure you have their medical health records, if they have any conditions, up to date. Okay? Like if your child has a condition that would exclude them, make sure you have that updated. Okay? Many countries in South America have good relationships with Middle Eastern countries, including my homeland. This event is dangerous. Yes, it's absolutely dangerous. Yes. Also, other places that may have been already on high alert for whatever reason. You know, we're not going to get into. There's certain things that we're not going to talk about today. But I will say that countries that would consider themselves on a list of threat, right, or that this could happen to them, right? What would stop them from aligning themselves, honestly? You know how, what's the saying? The enemy of my the friend, the enemy of my friend is my friend. The enemy of my friend is my friend. Some shit like that, right? I want to say some things too, for the next little bit, okay? Avoid like major, like big crowds, if at all possible, right? What are places that I think could be, affected like this? Well, God forbid, I worry about Puerto Rico because Puerto Rico basically houses a lot of military at present that were put there strategically because of this situation. Okay. And if you wanted to respond without a homeland situation, that would be viable. Yeah. Don't forget, okay, that it's not just military personnel, but those people are citizens. Okay. Also, understand that, like, just put yourself in as if it were you, right? And a big dog comes and grabs two very important people. And normally, this would have taken place from the actual Capitol, when I mean here, right? And that building, the White House, right? But it wasn't. And it's funny because when I first heard about it, I turned to my man and I was like, you don't know what or who, because it doesn't have to be what we have learned from 9/11 and from things that have occurred since 9/11 is that places that don't have the military might to engage with large scale players in the same way will often look for soft targets to try to respond in kind, without bringing mass casualties to their soil. Okay, whether you agree with those things or not is not the point. This is what we have witnessed since 9/11. So if that were the case, right, then you would have to think about public spaces and things like that, right? So where do we have a large um population like that? Well, Miami, for one, right? And I was thinking about where traditionally an order like this would have come from, would have been the White House. But I said to my partner, I was like, got to worry about Puerto Rico, got to worry about certain parts of Florida, major cities, and from where he's speaking presently, Mar-a-Lago. And because many of some of these places may not have the firepower to come all the way into the nation, but maybe they could reach that tip. So he's finishing. And And the probability is that most likely we're not going to, I mean, it's possible because, but probably direct things won't happen in the short term. And it may be more of individual, like I said, soft target type situations, but it doesn't mean that this can't lead to a larger conflict. We're going to pull a couple cards. We're going to take a look. Whiskey Leaks is speaking at present. I don't even want to hear him. So can you just show me anything of importance that we need to know right now in regards to this situation as we all wake up to this, and it's really not unexpected. Maybe not in this particular fashion, taking the wife, and but all of 2025 looks like this, and we know that there's going to be some ramping up to break the cycle. We was talking about that in the live yesterday. For those of you in the Patreon, right here we go. Well, first card is the World. That's not a good sign. The Five of Wands crossed and the Ten of Swords. This is going to start a larger conflict, Spirit just said. I thought I saw something flip, so I'm checking before I continue. If I see one, I'll remember this was the point. Spirit. Eight of Wands comes out. Seven of Wands. The Magician in reverse. The Two of Wands. The Six of Cups, the Nine of Pentacles, the Hangman, and the Star, okay? Let me try to move it all over so I can keep it in the order in which it's coming out. Anything else, Spirit? Oh boy. Oh boy. Okay. Okay, so the Two of Cups coming out slightly crossed, the Ten of Cups coming out slightly crossed, and the Death card, Scorpio, okay? This could be actually Scorpio season, okay, or an actual passing of some sort, okay? At the bottom of the deck, we have the Three of Swords, the Knight of Cups, and the Three of Cups, and the Hermit. And I'm seeing water and an island. King of Swords, and the Strength card, and the Five of Wands. There goes another island, Temperance, and the Eight of Pentacles. The Two of Wands, trying to avoid news cycles, okay? But let's get into it. Now they have a general speaking. Hangman at the bottom of the deck. There's crazy talk happening inside. Crazy talk? Crazy talk? Allegedly crazy talk about what should be done. There's a comparison being made about strongman activities. and wanting to outdo somebody else's situation. And if y'all remember, when Obama was in office, a situation happened. I think that was in Libya. I could be wrong, right? And they allowed an overthrowing and a public type situation. Do y'all remember that? So this person wants to outdo that. This is why you keep hearing allegedly about public and displays of I'm trying not to use certain words, and displays of retribution in a sense. Okay. So let's look at, why is the world here? Can you show me? Pins and needles and pins. Right? And you have the 8 of Pentacles. Yes, thank you. It was Gaddafi, right? With the 9 of Knives, there's anxiety, trying to cause anxiety. Okay, 6 of Sticks and show strength, and the 9 of Sticks, and the 3 of Baskets, and the 3 of Coins, and the Devil. So I feel like secretly, and I want to make the distinction that I can't tell if this is allies of this place or if this are regional allies because they feel like they could be done in the same fashion. Do you understand what I'm saying? Right? But people are there's conversations of leaders right now discussing allegedly, how this shakes out for other regions. Okay. 5 of Wands, if I'm making sense. Okay. And it comes out with the 5 of Wands comes out to the 5 of Knives and the Ace of Pentacles and the 10 of Baskets. Okay, so there's conversations about how to come together as a family. So this could be regional places to protect resources. Okay. Because they see maybe the writing on the wall or something. Or now remember, can somebody look up? I feel like, is it the new moon? Give me 1 second. Okay, so the solar eclipse that's going to happen in Aquarius season is going to be a precursor to the North Node moving into Aquarius. And for those of you that fuck with me, you know that we talk about that shit a lot. This will be happening on February 17th. So from now to then, know that, tick, 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 tick. Now that could be tick, 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 boom, or that could be like the climb of a roller coaster. Okay. You have the 10 of Swords here. Spirit, why is this 10 of Swords here? Spirit is throwing out chunks of cards, like talking a lot. Temperance, they've been waiting for an opportunity. 7 of Swords, things that maybe are based on, be careful what I say, on things that are not yet known or unclear, or possibly purposeful confusion. I'm going to paint it like that, with the 9 of Cups, okay, to spin a narrative, okay, because it's opposite day, Groundhog's Day, like trying to get people to have a specific energetic frequency. They've been trying to do that all of 2025 to cause a response that would, whether here or internationally, that could lead to a situation where an exchange of power would not be possible. Are you following? Because in certain situations, like wartime situations, you're not supposed to change presidents. Right? And they may be trying to insulate themselves and maybe insulate some power that allegedly that they may have over a region that makes decisions for us. And 2026 is approaching. Also, by picking on a specific place that you can't differentiate those individuals from, let's say, other individuals that speak that same language, that could give more reasoning for profiling. Is everybody following me? Eight of Wands to the Queen of Swords crossed. Here is something. Let's give them something to talk about. Okay, I just said, I think it was yesterday, that there's something about a woman coming to power, or an action taken on behalf of a woman or something like that. And y'all know that Mexico has a feminine president. I also feel like she might feel like this is a slippery slope. I also feel like the Machado chick, or Machado, whatever her name is, she might feel like, hey, that's not what was supposed to happen. Something, okay? 7 of Wands, because, she was supposed to have won an election, and whether or not, like I said, right? It's not whether we agree with this individual or not, but that's should we be just going into places, right? So I feel like that's going to be a problem. The Magician in reverse, Spirit. This 7 of Wands with the 4 of Pentacles could be saying, what can we do to stop this? And the Magician coming out here in reverse with the 6 of Pentacles and the Moon, places could be trying to buy their way into the good graces, which, companies have been doing that. A lot of people have been doing that. I feel like somebody's saying we can't keep up that pace, especially with the announcement that was made out of this person's mouth. Like they're going to, basically handle that region moving forward. Trying to be careful. So that would not institute restoring, but actually annexing a whole country. I don't know about that, and how that will be looked at by other places, regardless of what we think. Because whether it's right or wrong, the particular individual, it just means that overall, that kind of authority could be used, and that probably is not going to be looked at favorably in other places. Right? You got the 2 of Wands here, Spirit. Why is that? With the Mother of Sticks, okay? So, that's my point. I played it in the beginning of this. That's my point, right? So regardless of what we think, this, that, and the third. It's how it will be perceived in other places and whether or not they feel safe moving forward in this climate. Okay? And there's something here about a feminine, whether this be Machado, whether this be Mexico, okay? And feeling like in some way they could be next. Okay? Something many years ago with Noriega in Panama. Yeah. Okay. So the Six of Cups here, Spirit, can you show me? With the Five of Sticks. Okay, so in reverse.
The oil infrastructure, which will cost
We're going to be running it.
billions of dollars. It'll be paid for by the oil companies directly. They will be reimbursed for what they're doing, but it's going to be paid. And we're going to get the oil flowing the way it should be. As you know, it was just a minor.
They asked him who was running the country. He's talking about their
We're
oil.
going to run it properly. We're going to make sure the people of Venezuela.
They asked him who's running the country. He said the oil companies will come in and run it appropriately.
Does the U.S. running the country mean that U.S. troops will be on the ground? How will that work?
But, you know, we say boots on the ground. Oh, so we're not afraid of boots on the ground if we have to. We had boots on the ground last night at a very high level, actually. We're not afraid of it. We don't mind saying it. But we're going to make sure that that country is run properly. We're not doing this in vain. This is a very dangerous attack. This is an attack that could have gone very, very badly. Could have gone very badly. Could have lost a lot of people last night. Could have lost a lot of dignity. We could have lost a lot of equipment. The equipment is less important, but we could have lost a lot. And we're going to make sure that this is proper. We're there now. We're ready to go again if we have to. We're going to run the country right. It's going to be run very judiciously, very fairly. It's going to make a lot of money. We're going to give money to the people. We're going to reimburse people that were taken advantage of. We're going to take care of everybody. It's very important. We couldn't let them get away with it. You know, they stole our oil. We built that whole industry there, and they just took it over. We built that whole industry there, and they just took it over like we were nothing. And we had a president that decided not to do anything about it. So we did something about it. We're late, but we did something about it.
Can you explain the exact mechanism by which you're going to run the country? Are you going to designate a U.S. official to coordinate?
It's
Can you
all
just
being
unpack that?
designating people, talking to people. We're designating various people. We'll let you know who those people are.
Would run Venezuela.
Oh, it's largely going to be for a period of time. The people that are standing right behind me, we're going to be running it. We're going to be bringing it back. It's a dead. Talk about a dead country. A year and a half ago, we were a dead country. Now we're the hottest country anywhere in the world. We're a country doing better than any country anywhere in the world, and it required leadership. And Venezuela has a lot of bad people in there. A lot of bad people that shouldn't be leading. We're not going to take a chance that one of those people take over for Maduro. So you can look at, and others. We have fantastic people, including people in the military. So we're going to have a group of people running it until such time as it can be put back on track, make a lot of money for the people, and give people a great way of life, and also reimbursement for people in our country that were forced out of Venezuela.
Would be.
You said earlier today that you weren't going to back Machado to come back and be the opposition leader in your Fox Friends interview. And then you also mentioned the vice president of Venezuela. Are you going to work with the vice president of Venezuela, or how do you foresee the relationship
Well, I
going?
understand she was just sworn in, but she was, as you know, picked by Maduro. So Marco's working on that directly. Just had a conversation with her, and she's essentially willing to do what we think is necessary to make Venezuela great again. Very simple.
Mr. President, Colombian President Gustavo Petro, a couple weeks ago, he said he's got to watch his ass.
Think
And today, he said he's not concerned.
that's not real life. Okay.
So,
Pros,
what's the message about that?
because those people they've been the ones that are here. They have had their protections removed for their citizenship. So what they're gonna get, just like Abrego, is probably removed.
We call members of Congress immediately. This is not the kind of mission that you can do congressional.
Y'all know we all waiting on a stimulus.
Conditions had to be met night after night. We watched them monitor that for a number of days. So it's just simply not the kind of mission you can call people and say, hey, we may do this at some point in the next 15 days. But it's largely a law enforcement function. Remember, at the end of the day, at its core, this was an arrest of 2 indicted fugitives of American justice. And the Department of War supported the Department of Justice in that job. Now, there are broader policy implications here, but it's just not the kind of mission that you can pre-notify because it endangers the mission.
Let's get back to that one thing to that. Congress has a tendency to leak. This would not be good. If they leaked, General, I think it would have been maybe.
Okay, let's continue. I will put it up. Right. I will put it up if I hear something of importance. Hangman. So in the past, this place has been known to round up citizens. All the companies, the oil companies did the same in the 80s, 90s to Peru and Ecuador, Brazil. Chevron did this. Man took it further. Yeah. Okay. So I feel like there's going to be people who are going to want to leave. Nine of Pentacles, what is this about? There's a woman. She kind of looks like her, you know, the chick from Mexico, wanting to keep the independence. Okay? Some people could be saying, try to keep your nose down as long as possible to her. The star here with the star. I also feel that here there will be two women who are going to like make a statement. Now, whether this be one woman from here, one woman from another place, or they're doing something together, but I feel like it's some kind of a choice or something. And the Two of Cups came out here crossed before with the Page of Pentacles, okay? And the Father of Knives and the Ten of Sticks and the Ancestors, which is the Death card. So it feels phone calls were scrambled, right? Okay, so I feel like some people, some places that fear this same situation are having conversations with other powers like Europe. Ten of Cups. And Miss Ida, and I just heard Canada allegedly having conversations about purchasing, buying, and agreeing to mutual. Okay, for the Ten of Cups, quiet agreements being made. The Death card. And the railroad bill and like Underground Railroad, but this oil thing that they wanted to do before, and the Mother of Coins, females, keep seeing females, and the Magician, okay, and the Four of Sticks. They're talking about agreements to keep sovereignty, okay, from the Emperor, while keeping it cute and sweet, but it's an illusion, okay? Because they're worried about the Ten of Swords, okay? And the Father of Baskets, that's the Cancer King, right? And we're on a Cancer full moon. Like the emotionality, instability, they're trying to find other ways to have a different outcome, okay? I'm going to pull, let me clear these. I know they want him to get off that microphone because the more he speaks, the crazier, He basically saying that Rubio and Hegseth is going to run it. And they're asking him, like, is that what you're saying? And, Rubio and Hegseth trying to basically avoid actually saying that. Right. You're probably like, okay, you said what you was going to say. Let's go back and figure out a plan. You're speaking out loud and it's just like bad. Spirit, can you show me what's the challenges as a people, as collective, what we should be paying attention to right now for our own safety and what we can imagine happening or what's going to be happening. Despair just came out. The Lovers, okay, and it's cross, and the Lovers really means a choice, right? So choices are elementary vocabulary, right? Choices are being imposed on people for things they didn't ask for. Okay, Spirit, can you show me? Mature woman, official person, again, something about a feminine, okay? Bad health, boom. And thoughts, okay, boom. This individual doesn't finish out this situation. Feel like the card number is 31. I feel like that's going to reduce to the 4th month, April. And then number two. Are we following? And then number 2 has to worry about the female, and arise, okay? Of perception. And he just mentioned Cuba, doing the same thing to Cuba, and now how it's run by incompetent people. And now Rubio just said you should take him seriously.
Their whole spy agency, all that was full of Cubans. I mean, it's amazing. This poor island took over Venezuela in some cases. One of the biggest problems the Venezuelans have is they have to declare independence from Cuba. They tried to basically colonize it from a security standpoint. So, yeah, look, if I lived in Havana and I was in the government, I'd be concerned, at least.
Okay, so now he can spread this to certain places. Mexico, Cuba. Do you see what's happening?
The answer is yes.
Location of opposition leader Machado. Have you been in contact with her?
No,
And on Monday,
I think it would be very tough for her to be the leader. She doesn't have the support within or the respect within the country. She's a very nice woman, but she doesn't have the respect.
Is it possible that the U.S. ends up administrating Venezuela for years?
Well, it won't cost us anything because the money coming out of the ground is very substantial, so it's not going to cost
So
us
the US is
anything.
going to.
We will. We want safety there. We want to be surrounded by countries that aren't housing all of our enemies all over the world. That's what that was happening, and you don't want to have that. But we're going to be rebuilding, and we're not spending money. The oil companies are going to go in. They're going to spend money. We're going to take back the oil that, frankly, we should have taken back a long time ago. A lot of money is coming out of the ground. We're going to get reimbursed for all of that. We're going to get reimbursed for everything that we spend. So it's going to be.
There's not
It's
even a
going to be very
pretense.
important- It's going to be a very important. This is a very big evening that took place last night. We have to be surrounded by safe,
Listen,
secure,
Everybody,
and we also have
when
to
we
have
get off of
energy.
here, go fill up your gas tanks
We have to have
because the
energy,
price,
real energy.
every time there's a conflict that has to do, the price goes up. Because although he's saying this in the short run, like, go fill up.
I think over the next year is going to be a great thing, and the people of Venezuela will be the biggest beneficiaries.
You wanted to last speak to Maduro about when you spoke. Is the
Well, I don't want
US
to get into the
outlined
conversations, but I did have conversations with him, and I said, "You got to surrender." And I actually thought he was pretty close to doing so, but now he did. Yeah.
Can you explain, you said that Maduro is responsible for drug trafficking. You recently pardoned the former president of Honduras who was convicted of many drug trafficking. Can you explain how these two situations are
Well,
different? And would you ever pardon Maduro?
I endorsed, as you know, the winning president, the man who won in Honduras. I endorsed the man who won in Chile. I endorsed the man who won in Argentina. And we are doing very well with that whole group. What the man that I pardoned was, if you could equate it to us, he was treated like the Biden administration treated the man named Trump. That didn't work out too well for them. This was a man who was persecuted very unfairly. He was out of the country. He was persecuted very unfairly. And there are a number of them. And we felt that it was a very unfair situation that happened to him. He's also a party member of the man who won. So obviously the people liked what I did. And one of the reasons that was done is because of the fact that the party in power felt very strongly that that man was treated very badly. I studied it very quickly, and then I studied it in great detail. I went to a lot of the people standing behind me, and they felt that that man was persecuted and treated very badly. That's why I gave him a pardon.
So, President, you referenced boots on the ground earlier. Can you just sort of button this up? Do you envision the U.S. military having a presence in Venezuela as the U.S. runs that?
Well, no, we're going to have a presence in Venezuela as it pertains to oil, because we have to have, we're sending our
We have
expertise
to have it.
in. So you may need something, not very much. But no, we're going to be taking out a tremendous amount of wealth out of the ground. And that wealth is going to the people of Venezuela and people from outside of Venezuela that used to be in Venezuela.
Do you
And it goes
believe it?
Also to the United States of America.
Do you
in the form
believe
of
this
reimbursement
conversation?
for the damages caused us by that country.
Do you believe what we're hearing?
You were so nice before. I'm going to give you the final question. Go ahead. Unless it's a bad question, in
It's
which
about
case I'll go one word. It's about
It's about Putin, if you want to.
about food. Well,
Okay.
so it's nice.
You had a phone. You had a phone call with him on Monday. Did he talk at all about Maduro? Did y'all talk about this?
No, we didn't.
And
We
then-
never spoke about Maduro.
Are you mad at him right now? I mean, there's this
I'm not
intelligence.
thrilled with Putin. I'm not thrilled with Putin. He's killing too many people.
There was that
I
intelligence.
thought that would be so. I settled in 1/4 war. You know what the 1/4 was? Thailand, Cambodia. I did it again. They broke out, and I did it in about 5 hours, and I settled it. I'm giving myself 1/4, so I'm up to now 8 1/4. In other words, I settled the war, but then they broke out. They had a pretty bad breakout over the last 4 days. I got them to go back to peace. So I only give 1/4. I thought the easiest one would be, one of the easier ones would be Russia, Ukraine. It's not. And they both have done some pretty bad things. And look, that's Biden's war. That's not my war. But I want to stop the lives. Did you see where last month, 30,000, it was 27,000 the month before. 30,000, mostly soldiers, were killed this last month. 30,000. I want to stop that. You know, I got NATO to pay 5% instead of the 2% that they weren't paying. They weren't paying 2, now they pay 5. And we send them a lot of munitions. We send them a lot of things, missiles and various other things, a lot. And they pay. The United States is not losing money. We're probably making money on that. It's the last thing I care about. I just want to stop all those people. We're losing 25, 30,000 human beings. They come from 2 places that are very far away. But if I can stop, because it's something I've been pretty good at doing, deals, I guess. It's all a deal. Life is a big deal. But if I can stop that war and stop 30,000 young people, in addition to the fact that people are being killed in Kiev, people are being killed in other cities, you know, a much smaller number, but they're being killed, viciously killed. So I'm not happy about it. I thought that would be something that would get solved. We have Mr. Witkoff here. I think that we're making progress, but that's a war that should have never happened. If I were president, it would have never happened. Who says it? Everybody says it. If I were president, that would have never happened. But I inherited that war. That was Joe Biden, Zelensky, and Putin. I came into the situation, and it's a mess. And I will say this. I watched an operation last night that was so precise. It was so brilliant. I mean, it was incredible. If we had our people, like this general and our people involved, that war would not have gone on very long, that I can tell you. That war, to use an old term, that war has become a bloodbath, and we wanted to get stopped.
Take over the country. Can you talk about your conversation with the vice president?
Did you hear it? So, gang, what's good, Shadowfly? We're just ending. Please do rewind and watch. It's unbelievable what just happened. Unbelievable. Oh my. Listen, Nigeria Christmas, we saw what happened. Melanated souls and family head on a swivel, baby. I need to go visit my mom. Patreon. I'm going to try to holler at y'all later when I go to cook, okay? And we'll have another chat. For those of yous, you know, that are my regulars and you're not on Patreon, what are you doing with your life? You need to be over there. Because we have a lot of these kind of discussions there. Okay? So I'll be back, guys. Wishing you light and love and blessings on blessings. You missed, go back and watch it. So you could be caught up for later. Okay? All right.